This is TWiT.
Also with us, Mikah Sargent. He got up early with me, early Pacific time anyway, 7 a.m. to watch the Apple event and then host iOS Today. So we're really putting him to work today. A 3-show day for Mr. Sargent. You can go take a nap later. Hi, Mike.
I was up at 4 this morning, and for some reason I could not get back to sleep.
Yeah, I had the same problem.
I've been up since 4.
I had the same problem. Maybe we were just so excited. And my 8 sleep said,
Something
well,
like
your
that.
heart rate was 7% higher. What's going on? I was excited because it's, a holiday, geek day for Apple lovers. Doc Rock's here filling in for Alex Lindsay. Hello, Doctor.
Hello. I was going to say, Michael, what is this 7-4, man? For us Hawaii people, we got to get up at 4. And I'm the same, though. I have that disease. It's called Apple announcement insomnia every time. I never can sleep properly the night before. I don't know why.
Did you get up for the, it wasn't, this is the weird thing. It wasn't an event. It was more of a viewing party, right?
Yeah.
Did you get up for it?
And I got up. I got up, and I really thought maybe it was going to be 2 hours for some reason. I was like, man, they're going pretty fast. And it was about 48 minutes or whatever. So It could have been a TV show. But first time I watched it on Apple TV instead of YouTube, just out of curiosity, and it's glorious. And it was when you open the Apple TV app, it was like the giant hero, and it looked really good. So
don't tell the antitrust people.
Yeah, I think this was the first one that really felt like an infomercial. I was almost expecting a Chiron with an 800 number on it. It was just okay, well, if you're all you're going to do is post a highly produced video with sales points, marketing points, okay, I'll definitely bookmark that for watching later. But it's it takes the eventness out of it.
Yeah, I commented on the same thing to Mikah early on. Is that it really felt like an advert, not an event. And I guess that's what happens. If Alex were here, we'd say, no, this is the way. Because in 48 minutes, they got everything. Now, it was supposed to be 25 minutes. I guess Gurman got that wrong.
Actually, supposed to be? No, it was rumored to be. Not necessarily supposed to be.
No, it wasn't spoken. Well, I know.
I actually, of course, I used one of our favorite apps, Downy, to download the actual video. And so it's 41 minutes, 40 seconds, minus probably the 3 minutes it took to launch for the countdown. So yeah, this was pretty short. This is pretty brisk.
Yeah.
And the countdown was very smooth transition. But the one thing that I thought was funny, I don't know if you noticed this, when Tim was doing the talk, Tim had this bounce, and he would every syllable, he was doing a karaoke ball bounce. Every couple syllables, he would pop, pop. And I was waiting for him to just.
Tim is always a little pressured in his speech, a little, good morning. But he seemed more so. I don't know why, but he did seem more so. There was something going on.
He was. I noticed that too. He was a little bit Italian in his gestures.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of the other reasons why I got the infomercial sort of vibe off of this.
Tim didn't stay very long. He just stayed long enough to say, hey, the good news is the Vision Pro is selling exactly as we intended.
All the superlatives that we thought we would miss out on, all the irrelevant superlatives that we thought we miss out on by not having a live event. So the new MacBook Airs are the best-selling notebooks in the entire world. That's nice. We didn't get a walkthrough of a new architectural Maven Apple store, flagship store, but it'll do.
No mention of the big product that Apple sells, half of their revenue, which is the iPhone. But this was really iPad day and Pencil day. I'm on the Apple Store, which was closed. This time they got up right after the event. They wanted to give you a chance to buy. And everything we're going to talk about, you can order right now for delivery. Well, it was next week. I don't know if they're getting sold out. So there's an iPad Pro in 11 and 13 inches. They're not saying 12.9 anymore. There's a new iPad Air in 13 and 11 inches, which looks, interestingly, a lot like the old iPad Pro. It even has an M2 chip in it. They dropped the price of the 10th generation iPad. That's now the base model at $349, which is a great price, really. I mean, for an iPad that will do everything that these other guys will do. And they're off to the right. It says new, and the iPad Mini where there was absolutely nothing new.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Yeah. That was the thing I was really looking forward to. And also, it's they really seem to have cluttered the top end now. It's I was amazed that we'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but it just seemed weird that, okay, so now you have the iPad Air, which has most of the functionality that would attract someone to the iPad Pro. If they're assuming that they're not made of money, they don't want to necessarily spend top dollar on the top device, but it's no longer the thinnest. The iPad Air is not the thinnest one. It's like, so the easiest one to hold is going to be the iPad Pro. And so it bums me out that they missed an opportunity to really differentiate the iPad by bumping up the iPad Mini, which again, it's such a great device.
Yeah, I'm curious what you all thought. My takeaway from this, and I guess I'm coming at it from a Macintosh user, is that Apple is now doubling down on this notion of what's a PC? This is the post-PC computer, and it really is looking more and more and priced more and more like a full-fledged laptop. I really feel like people who like me who are worried, what's going to happen to Mac and Mac OS. I think the alarm bells are going off again. I was lulled to sleep for a while, but I think they're going off again.
Well, I mean, my take was still that, gee, it's impressive. These are great leaps in performance. They made great hay about what Final Cut could do on an iPad with AI features and selecting things and selecting foreground objects from background objects with just a touch of a button. Blah blah blah. All I could think of, however, was, wow, that's really, really impressive. Imagine how impressive an achievement they could have made if 5 or 10 years ago they had not decided that touchscreens do not belong on Macs. This could be a Macintosh. This could be a next evolution of a hybrid desktop tablet sort of OS sort of interface. And now, as I so ably demonstrated last week, you can't really sub an iPad for a laptop's work. It's to this day, the same thing that is true today as it was the first day. An iPad is great so long as you can really predict exactly what you're going to need it to do and everything works fine. It's the moment when you have to call an audible in the middle on the day and in the moment that it really starts to let you down. So again, kudos to making a really wonderful tablet. I've got an iPad Pro. I love it, but what I would love this iPad Pro to be is just no iPad at all and just a Mac that is that flexible.
Yeah.
I think it's coming. I think the emergence is getting closer. And strangely, the Rosetta Stone of this, if you will, is the Apple Vision Pro. Because that is the first computer that's not a computer, but it is a computer. And it shows that you can put computer as appliance. So I think we're 3 to 4 years out, but I believe your wish comes true sooner than you think.
I'm not wishing for this, believe me. The Vision Pro is an iPad internally, right? I mean, it's basically the iPad. Yeah. I wonder. I don't think Apple will stop making the Mac.
No,
but it really feels like they want people. This is the computer they want people, even pros, to buy. Just so people know what we're talking about, the comparison. On the left is the new 13-inch M4. That's very important based iPad Pro. This is a M2 based iPad Pro, the last generation, and the new iPad Air, also M2. Price wise, I don't know why they don't have did they stop selling the iPad Pro? Sixth generation? They don't have a price for it. Screen now 13 inches instead of 12.9. You can see that. Ultra Retina XDR on the new iPad Pro. Liquid Retina XDR on the old iPad Pro. And Liquid Retina no DR on the Air. You don't get ProMotion either, but all three are P3. All three are True Tone. All three have anti-reflective coating. And they introduced a nano-texture display on the 1 and 2 terabyte models of the new iPad Pro. Now, that's the same nano-texture, I think, that's on the monitor, right? On the XDR monitor, which is, I think, pretty sensitive. Mikah, you stopped me from ordering the nano-texture display.
So please don't get it.
Because it's you said it's dimmer?
That was the thing that I didn't hear people complaining about any sort of sensitivity or that it would, chip or something. It was just that by having that on there, you're reducing they felt that the brightness was reduced. And
but
so
remember
you're
when the
almost kind of looking
XDR display came out with a nano-texture, they said, don't touch it. And they sold a $19 polishing cloth with it. Maybe they've got a more durable.
Hopefully this is a different kind.
I mean, don't touch it doesn't work for an iPad. Right?
Exactly. You got to touch
it. Kind of a problem.
Only with the Apple Pencil. Yeah.
The M4 chip is now out. I'm not sure. We're going to have to really dive deep into that, and we will in a bit. 10-core CPU up to. They didn't talk about the 10 cores. They talked about the 6 and 4. 10-core GPU, 16-core neural engine. That's the same 16-core neural engine it looks like in the M2 versions of the iPad. In fact, it's very similar to the M2, so we'll be interested to see. Camera-wise, they're still going with that 12-megapixel, even though they promoted the idea that you might want to shoot video with your iPad. Please don't.
Yeah. Yes, but you'll notice that they lost a lens. We only have one camera lens on the new iPad Pros, whereas the previous model has both the wide and ultra wide.
Yeah.
It was an interesting choice to get rid of a lens, but I think one that suggests, hey, maybe the iPad's not the best place to be taking the photos of the videos.
Yeah, even though they showed it. But they did also
but they showed it specifically for files. You know, they were really
scanning
kind of as a
thing. Yeah.
Yes, document scanning, or if you need to. But yeah.
They also released a Final Cut camera app, which is designed for multi-camera shoots using Final Cut on the iPad. So I think they want you to use your iPhone. I don't know. It's confusing. Yeah. They did. Thank God they moved the camera. Always been a problem for me on the iPad Pro. Was the camera was on the left-hand side if you held it in landscape mode. In fact, they even show it here in portrait mode as if, of course, that's how you're supposed to hold an iPad. But the new one, they put it on top like they did with the Air. So that's good. It does have the True Depth camera system. You know, it'll move around with you on center stage. Connectors, Thunderbolt, USB 4, just like the previous version, Face ID. Here's one you're going to be interested in, though. Apple Pencil Pro is not supported on your old iPad Pro.
Yeah, it requires an M2 or an M4. Excuse me, a new Air or a new Pro.
Yeah, because this is 12th generation. I mean, 12.9-inch 6th generation iPad is on M2, so it's not the M2. They declined to support the Pencil Pro on the older iPad Pro. Maybe a little nudge to get you in there.
Yeah. So now that means that now they have 3 pencils. They have to keep, like, I checked to make sure even the first generation pencil is still on the books, which is, I suppose, is fair because they want to make sure it's compatible all the way down. But wow, I'm sure that's a non-optimal roadmap that they were trying to avoid.
They have bumped the minimum memory storage, which is a good thing, frankly. That was a little low at 128, but it's now 256 gigs. Let's do a little shopping, shall we? So, Mikah, you like the 11-inch, eh?
Mm-hmm.
And black or silver?
Yeah, smaller. Space black.
Of course.
Space.
Gotta love that, right? Up to 2 terabytes.
12.
Notice though,
the 2 terabytes.
The 2 terabytes is $1,000 more than the 256 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Wow. It's not just storage. I'm thinking you get a better processor. I don't know. What do you get something more? I don't know. Anyway,
that people have not yet pulled that apart, but I think that is, in the works of trying to figure out exactly, because we have seen in the past that the terabyte models have more RAM or have other features that the non-terabyte models have.
I think that's what it is.
My current one is 2 terabytes, and I mainly got it because I just was going to be using it to dump a lot of photo and footage when I'm traveling. I use it to edit. And at this point in time, like, I would say 1 would have been fine, but I always overdo it.
Yeah. So, because you can't add it, right?
Yeah, you can't really add it later, but it is super handy being able to, take pictures with my cameras or take footage with my camera or the Osmo Pocket 3 now, which is my favorite camera. Dump it straight to the iPad, get the chopping, and then, I'll put stuff on the fly. So it's helpful, but I don't really notice anything other than the space.
If you go up, Go ahead.
It might sound a little bit weird given how cheap you can buy a terabyte of storage, like as a Thunderbolt device, but it's possible, it's likely that it's not just the amount, it's the kind of RAM that they want to put in there. I thought it's still kind of weird that on the iPad Air, you can still get the minimum of 128 gigs, which is like, really, seriously. But I think that might be equally a reflection of here's how much Apple spends on RAM, and here's how much it would affect the really, really comfortable buy-in price of the iPad Air if they made the minimum just 256 gigs.
That reminds me too, you were talking about the nano-texture glass. Speaking of storage size impacting, nano-texture glass is only available on the 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte models.
That's right.
So you can't even get that nano on the smaller.
And that's probably because they're doing something with the image in order to make it work properly with the new nano-texture, especially with the new sandwich displays. So it might need that extra space in order to do something. Who knows?
You're very generous, Doc Rock. It could also be because they just want you to have to get more, spend more money. And
I never take that approach because that is the easiest way to ruin a business. And this business has not ruined itself for all of this time. But everyone always goes to, they're just doing this to make money. I tell you how I run my business. I do things to make money.
Yeah, they're pushing you. They are giving you reasons to buy more. There is also, thanks to a James B, who's looking at the tech specs, the 1 and 2 terabyte models have one more performance core. They have twice the RAM, 16 gigs. The lower storage units, 256 and 512, have 3 cores in performance cores and 8 gigs of RAM. So that's what the bump is. You're getting, it sounds like you really want to at least get a terabyte if you want the nano-texture or more RAM. I think 16 gigs of RAM seems like a good idea, personally.
Yeah, especially with the investment in AI, now that they're really going both shoulders ahead with that. We've at least on other platforms, we've seen that these models, if you're trying to run them on device, and that seems to be what Apple wants to do, you really do need as much RAM as possible to get them to work efficiently. And that was after people were already complaining that 8 gigs seemed a little bit chintzy, at least not for a device that might not have the option of getting more RAM than that, or a really, really big price jump for getting more RAM than that. Yeah. So, I mean, they did, I think a lot of us were kind of paying close attention to what do they say about artificial intelligence, because they're going to, part of the messaging going forward for Apple is going to be, yes, but we acknowledge that we live in an AI driven tech world. Believe me, all of our hardware and software and our operating systems are going to reflect that. So we're going to spend, even on a 41-minute or 40-minute presentation, we're going to spend at least 3 or 4 or 5 minutes explaining exactly how powerful the M4 is for how powerful the new neural engine is. I think they actually even said that with a lot of fudge factor in it, the iPad Pro is has the most powerful onboard AI of any desktop computer. Or they're basically saying that all the Intel stuff has not come out yet. It is faster than all the stuff that is currently existing. It probably won't be as fast as what's going to happen in 6 months from now, but at least for now, we can say that we have the most powerful AI hardware support in the CPU on any mobile or desktop computer.
If numbers are your thing, you can remember the number 38 tops, which is what they're claiming for their AI engine. You can compare that when Qualcomm's stuff comes out, which is any minute now. I don't know if Intel's going to even be in the game, but Qualcomm is claiming, of course, to be outperform the M2s. Nano-texture glass costs you $100 more. Wi-Fi, plus cellular costs you $200 more. That's kind of a bump. It used to be $129. It's now $200.
And some people were caught off guard, I guess, by the fact that the cellular models no longer have a physical SIM drawer.
Oh, it's eSIM.
Only eSIM.
Yeah.
So if that's a thing that bugs you, be aware of that.
Yeah, and I imagine that will be more of an issue outside the U.S., but here in the U.S., I think every carrier does eSIM now. Hey, it's Leo Laporte. If you enjoyed this little snippet of our programming, make sure you check out the full MacBreak Weekly. The link is right down there.